Garry, good to be back.
Yeah, it is. It is great to be back, or back available at least. It was, I guess, a tough, tricky process to go through, but a good learning curve, and yeah, motivated and excited to attack the week.
Is it particularly frustrating when your team doesn't win and you're watching all and you want to influence it and you obviously can't?
Yeah, it's tough because you know how much work goes into the week, and everyone from the 23, especially with the whole wider group, trained as best we could and prepared as best we could, and I guess when a game doesn't go your way, it's a tough thing to go through if you're out there playing, tough thing to watch if you're part of the wider group. But yeah, so it was in on Sunday evening, and I guess a lot of the lads would, because work really hard and prepare as best we can. A lot of the guys would, coaches included, is carry the weight of a defeat and be quite harsh on themselves and things that didn't go right. So there's a bit of kind of ripping that bandage off on Sunday evening, Monday morning in the reviews, being honest with ourselves, and yeah, then say getting out training today, a highly competitive session, getting it all out the system, and yeah, flick the switch to attack the week now. So I've kind of gone through that process.
And just finally, for me, there was a lot of outside noise about your own situation. What was that like, the experience and being the position you were in with the games out?
I mean, it was a tough thing to go through, but as I said, a kind of learning curve, just from the whole process and the disciplinary hearing, and then the tackle school last week. So I wouldn't have been paying attention to any outside noise, because I had work to do to get myself back available this week, which was what I was solely focused on, to be honest. Yeah.
Thanks, Johnny and Murray. Hey, Garry.
Have you?
We were just talking beforehand. Who's going to teach a guy with as many caps as you have about tackling?
Well, which is evident, I clearly need to keep working on it. But yeah, the tackle school week was an interesting process to go through. So it's an independent body in World Rugby they touch base with, because it's separate to the disciplinary hearing, or that panel. So you're kind of going back over the incident, what I believe as a player that I could have done differently in the situation, and then I was also would have naturally worked quite closely with Simon Easterby as the defence coach, but worked closely with Andrew Goodman, who was particularly helpful last week. His experience as a centre, understanding that element from the player perspective, as well as now he's been coaching a fair while. So kind of designing little drills to maybe break down the incident a bit into segments, and then that kind of evolved into reenacting effectively what happened and being acutely aware of what I can do differently in that situation. And sort of all of that through the week was videoed and passed on to World Rugby, who then kind of reviewed it, and then went from there. So they were kind of happy with the work that was put in by myself and the coaches to kind of try and right the wrong, I guess.
So it was virtual online? You weren't on the pitch?
No. Well, I was on the pitch doing it, but like myself, and it's like reenacting drill, or breaking it down and doing drills, and then reenacting the scenario and trying to anticipate, say, what I didn't anticipate on the day in Cardiff, and hopefully our best endeavour to make sure something like that doesn't happen again.
Just what would be your emotion? The guys were preparing to face France. You were doing this. You probably didn't want to do it. Frustration or?
You kind of compartmentalise is the right word. That I had to do that little bit, but that was kind of in my own time, and try and do that separate session in terms of the video analysis and preparing in the bibs myself would have been trying to prepare the 23 as best we could. So that wouldn't really change it. That was all the focus, and then kind of on top of that there was the extra bit of time of and that commitment to doing the tackle school kind of throughout the week.
So when you send those videos back, do you have to wait to get a mark or pass?
I think so. Yeah. Well, it was like I was kind of breaking it down in different elements. What I perceived to I can do better. What Goody thinks I could have done better. and then kind of explaining why you're doing the drill, what you're hoping to achieve, what you're hoping to work on for each different element of it, and then the same, and you kind of put it all together and reenacting it. So I had Tommy O'Brien and Kieran Frawley, and yeah, I think that was it over the couple of days, on a bag, helping me out and stuff.
Very interesting. So it sounds like a very specific tackle skill. Like you're not going to drastically change how you defend because.
Well, no, there's a little bit. It was kind of situational, but like the incident itself, there was no malice or intent behind it. It was just something that didn't go right at the time. So, yeah, I guess it's just kind of, it's an experience to go through. Like when good, bad, or indifferent at 13, you get thrown loads of pictures, and training against Bundy and Robbie and Stu, that happens quite often. Say even training with and against Geordie Barrett, you get thrown different pictures back at Leinster, and you're always trying to learn. And I guess that was something that Ben Thomas did. There was a different picture that I hadn't seen before and didn't react accordingly. So it's trying to make sure, yeah, as I said, at best endeavour to, like the nature of the beast, it's split-second decisions in high-pressure moments, and so it's to try and react as best I can then, yeah, going forward.
The French were up in arms about the Leinster game including your back. Were you aware of this? What did you make of that? They're still talking about it.
I didn't really pay attention to any outside noise, to be honest. My in terms of selection, like, then it's never something I overthink. I just trust whatever the coaches want for me and the plan for them going for me for the Six Nations, and then that was kind of established. That was the plan. So
you've been told you were going back to Leinster?
no, as in week on week, you only find out as the coaches have a bigger picture plan. But I guess similarly to myself, Bundy and Robbie rotating as the Six Nations was going on, that was clearly part of their plan. But it's not something I'd overthink. I just do whatever they reckon is the best thing for me.
Thanks, Sinead and Kieran.
Everybody has their own view on it. Like, what would be your view now?
On the incident?
On
On the 20-minute red card. I haven't really thought too much. It was, yeah, I guess it's tough. You kind of don't want to put your teammates in that position, you know what I mean, when you go off, and it's a tough thing for them to do, to have to go through against any opposition, one man down for 20 minutes. I think that was evident with the 2 yellow cards we got last weekend. To play 20 minutes with one man down is a tough thing to do. So, yeah, I guess there's a bit of grey area, or maybe that's not the right word, but in some instances where, as a matter of interpretation, it can be interpreted as a yellow or a red, the degree of danger, any mitigating risk factors. So I guess it's probably a good thing to try and catch those ones in the middle, I guess. And yeah, so I guess I thought I was. Like at the time, I thought it was going to be a yellow card, and but then reviewing it and going back when I went into the disciplinary process, was pretty keen to admit that it was an act of foul play, that it was something that happened that you don't want to be happening consistently in the game. And then I kind of made my points from explained exactly what was going through my head to the panel in that kind of split second, or the 2 or 3 seconds even, some of the mitigating factors, and they were actually really helpful in receiving, and it was probably an intimidating thing coming into, but then when it came to the conversation, they were quite opening to hear my perspective, the player's perspective, and then so I kind of was just open and honest with them as to exactly what I thought happened, and they did take that on board, but then ultimately decided that it should have been whatever the red card. So I mean, you're waiting to hear the bunker, so you think it's a it's a possibility. So I guess I was a little bit surprised, but then when I look back at I wasn't looking at the big screen at the time, but then when you look back at it, some angles don't look great. So then I was like, well, yeah, there's an element of realism about it. But then when I did break it down, although it was an act of foul play, I thought it could have been a yellow. But I'd be real respectful of the disciplinary panel and how they explained to me as to why they thought it was still a red card, and I said that to them. I was like, that's completely fair enough. There's no there's no bad blood from my perspective. They only want what's best for the game, and I'd be on board for that.
Last question, Kira.
Yeah, just kind of similar to Murray's question, but just like the aggression has become such an important part of your game in defensive, so just to see, shoot out those big hits. I know the Wales was more technically involved, but how do you just ensure that experience doesn't make you, second guess yourself next time and bringing that right level of aggression?
So I guess, yeah, well, the training and drills you do away from the game is to try and ensure it doesn't happen. So it's just working technically on stuff like you're doing whatever you can to try and get the ball back when you don't have it. So it's still, that'd be the principle in any team I've ever played in. And so it's still having that mindset, but trying to do it as in those split-second moments, trying to do it as technically right as possible. So that's something it'll always be with me to try and make sure it doesn't happen again. So yeah, that'll be my objective and plan, but we'll see.